Good day, everyone, and welcome back to British Mirror, where we cut through the Westminster waffle and deliver the political drama you actually want to hear about. Today's story? Well, it involves school uniforms, a policy nobody asked for, and Reform UK absolutely gleefully tearing apart Labour's latest attempt at helping families, which may actually be doing the complete opposite. Bridget Phillipson's brand master plan to save parents money is being called out as a catastrophically misguided, and honestly, you couldn't write this level of chaos if you tried. Stick around because this gets properly bizarre. Before we dive into this absolute circus, quick favor. If you're enjoying the content, smash that subscribe button down below. Over 94% of you watching right now haven't subscribed yet. It's completely free, takes literally 1 second, and genuinely means the absolute world to us here at British Mirror. And while you're at it, hit that notification bell so you never miss when we expose the next political disaster brewing in Westminster. Cheers to everyone who's already subscribed. Right then, back to the madness. So picture this scene. You're a parent, already drowning under the weight of mortgage rates that would make a loan shark blush, energy bills that require a small fortune, and grocery shopping that feels like you're purchasing actual gold bars instead of bread and milk. You're barely keeping your head above water. Then along comes Labour, promising to help you out with the back-to-school shopping costs. Sounds brilliant, doesn't it? Finally, someone thinking about the working families of Britain. Except, and here's where it gets absolutely bonkers, their solution might actually make everything significantly worse. Welcome to British politics in the 2020s, where good intentions pave the road to financial ruin and nobody seems to notice until it's far too late. Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson has introduced this new school uniform cap policy, limiting the number of branded pieces of kit that schools can demand pupils must have to just 3 items. 3, that's it. Blazer, maybe a PE shirt, and perhaps a school jumper with the crest emblazoned across it. The government's logic goes something like this. Fewer branded items equals less money spent at specialist uniform shops equals happy parents with fuller wallets. Simple mathematics, right? Well, not exactly. And this is where Reform UK has spotted an opportunity to absolutely demolish Labour's narrative and position themselves as the party actually listening to what families genuinely need. Reform UK MP Sarah Pochin has announced that her party would completely scrap this uniform cap if they secure victory at the next general election. She's gone on record with the Express absolutely eviscerating the policy as yet another poorly thought-through state intervention that's been dressed up as support for struggling families whilst actually achieving the precise opposite result. According to Pochin, this policy is pushing costs up for working parents who are already battling the cost of living crisis. And honestly, when you actually examine the mechanics of how this plays out in reality, she might have an absolutely valid point that Labour definitely doesn't want to acknowledge. Here's the thing that Westminster politicians sitting in their comfortable offices seem to fundamentally misunderstand about how children actually operate in the real world. Kids are brutal, they're observant, they're judgmental, and they absolutely will notice if someone's wearing different trainers, carrying a non-branded backpack, or sporting last season's jacket. It's not pleasant, it's not kind, but it's reality. When you remove the uniform as the great equalizer, when you strip away that universal branded blazer that every single child wears, regardless of their family's income, you're opening the door to a completely different kind of expense. You're replacing mandated school-specific clothing with a free-for-all, where peer pressure dictates what's acceptable, and suddenly parents aren't buying from the local uniform supplier anymore. They're being dragged to Sports Direct or JD Sports to purchase whatever trendy designer gear their child insists they absolutely must have to avoid being singled out. The Schoolwear Association has conducted a survey that should have alarm bells ringing throughout the Department of Education, assuming anyone there is actually paying attention. 7 out of 10 schools that retailers work with oppose this government uniform cap. Let that sink in for a moment. The schools themselves, the institutions that Labour claims to be helping, are overwhelmingly against this policy. 70%. That's not a minor disagreement, that's a comprehensive rejection of the government's approach. These schools are raising concerns about inequality in the classroom and on the sports field, which is precisely what school uniforms were originally designed to prevent in the first place. Matthew Easter, chair of the Schoolwear Association, has described these findings as a genuine wake-up call for the government. He's pointed out that specialist schoolwear retailers are on the absolute front line of this policy change, witnessing firsthand how it's playing out in practice, and what they're seeing isn't pretty. According to the association's survey, 53% of retailers report that schools are finding it genuinely difficult to adapt their existing uniform policies in practice, more than half, and 36% say their schools simply don't understand the Department of Education's guidance. So not only is the policy potentially counterproductive, but schools can't even figure out how to implement it properly, because the guidance is apparently about as clear as mud.
Now, let's talk about the official justification, because it's absolutely brilliant in its transparent ridiculousness. The Labour Party statement said allowing Burnham to stand would cause an unnecessary election for the Greater Manchester Mayor position, which would have a substantial and disproportionate impact on party campaign resources ahead of local elections in May. Campaign resources. They're worried about campaign resources. The party running the entire United Kingdom with access to state funding, union money, and the advantages of incumbency is apparently too strapped for cash to fight a mayoral by-election. It's like claiming you can't afford to fix the leaky tap because you just bought a mansion. The scale is completely absurd. They also mention it would use substantial amounts of taxpayers' money. Oh, now they care about taxpayers' money. The same government that's been spending billions on various projects, that's expanded the civil service, that's increased departmental budgets, is suddenly concerned about the cost of a democratic election. Pull the other one, it's got bells on. This isn't about money. This has never been about money. This is about Starmer being terrified of Andy Burnham and doing whatever it takes to keep him out of Westminster. The statement goes on to say Burnham is doing a great job as mayor, and it's in the party's best interests to avoid an unnecessary mayoral election. Right, so he's doing such a great job that we definitely don't want him in Parliament, where he might actually influence national policy, or, heaven forbid, challenge for the leadership. The logic is spectacularly circular. He's good at his job, therefore he should stay in that job and not be allowed to do a different job, even though being an MP is what he wants to do and what would normally be considered a perfectly reasonable career progression for a successful politician. And then the final flourish. We look forward to fighting and winning the upcoming by-election in Gorton and Denton with a positive campaign focused on tackling the cost of living and bringing investment to the local area. Good luck with that positive campaign when the entire news cycle is dominated by your own MPs calling you outrageous, weak, and a control freak. Good luck focusing on the cost of living when voters are watching your party implode in real time. Good luck bringing investment to the area when you've just demonstrated that internal party politics matters more than democratic principles or electoral success. Because here's the thing that Labour's leadership seems fundamentally unable to grasp. Voters aren't stupid. They can see what's happening. They can see a party so consumed by internal warfare that it can't focus on governing. They can see a Prime Minister so insecure in his position that he's rigging the game to prevent competition. They can see MPs publicly destroying their own leader because they've lost faith in his ability to lead, and voters are drawing conclusions. They're concluding that this party is a shambles, that this government is dysfunctional, and that maybe, just maybe, they should give someone else a chance. Reform UK must be absolutely delighted.
They don't even need to campaign at this point. Labour is doing all the work for them. Every headline about Labour infighting, every quote from Labour MPs attacking their own Prime Minister, every demonstration of the party's inability to function democratically is a gift to reform. It's free advertising. It's validation of their entire critique of the establishment political class. Look at Labour, Reform can say. They're so scared of us they're cancelling democracy, blocking candidates, eating themselves alive. Why would you vote for that chaos when you could vote for us? And the tragic thing is, Labour had an opportunity here to look strong and confident. They could have welcomed Burnham's candidacy, held a proper selection process, and demonstrated that Labour is a democratic party that trusts its members. If Burnham won the selection, great, you've got a popular, proven politician fighting the seat. If someone else won, also great, you've shown that Labour has depth of talent and that selections are fair. Either way, you look like a functioning political party. Instead, they chose panic. They chose authoritarianism. They chose to look weak and scared, and now they're reaping the whirlwind. The parallels to other political parties in crisis are impossible to ignore. This feels like the dying days of a government that's lost its sense of purpose and is just clinging on through institutional control